to the Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, Idaho Board of Commissioners meetings. It's 9 a.m. And I'll call the meeting to order and start with the approval of the agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. I think I need a discussion as to whether we do a non-public session to discuss hiring an employee. And that can happen at the end of today's meeting or later in the afternoon.
What time do you have to leave?
Well, not till 3.
Oh, good.
We, as far as I know, don't have a set date for when we're meeting with the gentleman who owns the 2 properties on Diesbach yet this afternoon.
1 p.m.
Oh, it is 1 p.m.
That's what we had set up for him.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
and-
So maybe
I was waiting.
after that,
Okay?
Sure. So I think.
because we don't want to hold you at this meeting to the end
Right,
when you could go off and do something.
yes.
And you
Wait.
probably have a plan.
Yes, I do.
So we'll do that. We'll recess this meeting and go to Diesbach and then go to a non-public session at the office, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything else with the agenda?
Under old tabled items, the second thing should be non-public for legal reasons.
Sure.
Okay, so
So
we'll
we'll
do
do
that
that
at the
too.
non-public session also?
Yes.
Anything else?
Nope.
Nope.
So the motion is to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
How do you vote?
Aye.
3-0. Next, we'll go to the approval of the minutes of Saturday, the 26th, where we had a special meeting, and last Tuesday's meeting of the 29th. So let's start with the special meeting on the 26th. Make a motion to approve those minutes for discussion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just one. Item number 2, the prioritized discussions. Number 1, tax planning. Second line, and 2 newly appointed commissioners should be plural, S, just add an S, so it's commissioners, because we were the 2.
You want me to add the S to those meeting minutes?
Well, I'm just saying, it's.
Somebody should, I can
Yes.
do it.
Right, whoever typed these up.
You have
I wasn't at the Saturday meeting.
Oh,
so-
okay. Yeah, okay, then it's just this.
you have the draft and you can put the S in there. Right.
Just needs to be made
Okay,
plural, since
I
it was
don't
Nancy and
know.
I. It was just not, it wasn't 1 commissioner, it was 2 commissioners. That's it for that one.
Anything else?
Nope.
How about, we'll vote on these separately, so.
Yep.
All in favor of approving the minutes as, with an S,
The plural, yep. Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Now we'll move to the minutes of last Tuesday, the 29th. I'll make a motion to approve these minutes for discussion.
Second.
I
had-
zipped through them, I didn't see anything.
I had one thing under the minutes as under Wood'a for commissioners meeting,
Yep.
cell.
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 I had that one also.
There's only one L. And that was the only thing I picked up on.
Okay. Then I picked up on one where, I may be wrong, but under Nancy's commissioner's reports, bullet point 3, talking about the annual meeting, says, voting starts at 8 a.m. and can run till early evening. As I understand it, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, voting starts at 8 a.m., closes at 10, but then the annual meeting commences, and that can go to whenever.
That is correct.
Okay, so it's not voting starts at 8 a.m. and can run until early evening.
Okay.
Voting starts at 8 a.m. and ends at 10 a.m., then the annual meeting commences. That's all I have.
Just to be clear, it's the balloting voting goes from 8 to 10, and then that closes hard at 10.
Yes.
And then the deliberative session, which has voting in it, but not ballot voting, unless somebody makes a motion to have a secret ballot. But that's typically the way we describe this.
Correct, that's, yeah.
Voting for officers. is the only thing that's actually on the ballot,
I see.
the written ballot from 8 to 10. We don't
Mhm.
do any warrant articles
Right,
in the ballots from 8 to 10. But that's not in the minutes, that's just a,
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
okay.
all set on the minute, those minutes then?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0 to approve them as amended. So at 9:05, we'll go to the approval of the manifest. We have an operations manifest for $785.40. I'll make a motion to approve that manifest for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. Any issues with that manifest?
I didn't have any.
No?
Any purchases you'd like to highlight? I think the highlight of this manifest is it's only $785.
Yes.
Right.
So, no discussion, motion to approve this manifest for $785.40. I either made the motion, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0 on approval of that manifest, we'll sign that in a second. There's a water system manifest for $301. Make a motion to approve that manifest for discussion.
Second.
Any noteworthy items on that? Other than that, it's all
I
small
didn't,
one.
I didn't have anything.
That's just the testing for uranium at Muddy Beach,
Right.
$301. All in favor of approving this manifest?
Aye.
3-0 on this manifest. So, at 9:06, we'll go to the DPW report. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning. So, an arm broke on the York rake.
Hey, what broke?
An arm. There's a couple of arms that there's like the York rake hooks in with the ears to the plow, like a plow setup, and then from there the pistons go to this plate to push it left and right, and then from there there's some arms that go up to the that attach to the rake itself. Well, the
Did that pivot the rake?
Well, the arms do the pistons do that, but this is it holds the rake itself.
Okay.
And one of the arms, the weld broke loose. Now they replaced those arms. The replacement arm is $263.18 plus shipping and handling. I haven't made a move to order that. They said it'd be within a week or so. Now we're probably pretty much putting the rake to bed for the winter.
This is a York rake or
The
is this a
York
front
rake,
runner?
the front runner. Yeah.
Who's gonna fix it?
I called Ally Equipment, who we bought the rake from. They're the ones we bought the tines from,
Where are they located?
out of Maine.
So we gotta get it over to Maine?
Nope,
They'll come
they'll deliver the arm.
Okay.
So I didn't know if you guys want to get two of them just to have a spare. I could replace the both, take the good one off on the other side, or just get the one. You know, it depends on what you guys want to spend. I mean,
I'm a little confused. Okay, the price you gave is the purchase of the new arm.
yes,
But what about the installation?
we'll install it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it just bolts and pins in the back. We should be able to
Okay,
install
got
that,
it,
no
got
problem.
it.
So is it one of these things, if one shoe is worn out, the next one isn't far behind?
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Is I mean, at some point, is that other one worn out as well?
He
You know,
brought it up, so he must think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we buy 2 York rake arms
Okay.
Second.
at $216 apiece.
$263.18 plus the shipping and handling.
So
$263.18.
roughly 526 or 5. Excuse me. Two. What is it? 2 what?
$263.18.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So 526. 526.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0.
We've laid out some gravel on West Bergamo up the hill there and rolled that, calcium that, so we got that ready for winter.
I drove up there, that looks good.
Yeah, that's a lot better
There
than
were
it was.
compliments on social media for the job you guys did on Presidential View and on Four Class
Yeah,
and on Clausen.
yeah, we fixed those up last week as well, get those ready for winter. So that brings me to the blower. I've been on the phone with HP Fairfield, John Deere. John Deere came up yesterday to work on those stabilizers again. And we've got the solution for the blower. They're gonna run a new line back from the tank. They call it a case line or something like that. And they're gonna mount a new fitting, a high flow fitting on the front of so when we're gonna attach that blower, it's gonna go to a different fitting than say the clamshell bucket goes to, and that should solve the problem.
This hydraulics, I can't picture it. I guess I'd like to see it, is this to drive the blower, or is this to maneuver the blower?
Nope, this is to drive the mower. The chute itself moves electrically with a separate button. So you take the bucket off for the backhoe and you attach the blower. And the bucket, the clamshell works on a little switch on the thumb that opens and closes the clam. The blower works off that same switch, off the same hydraulics. And for some reason, the hydraulic setup on the machine, as is, blows that seal on the blower. So they got it figured out now, and they're gonna run a new line from the tank, right by the hydraulic tank, back up to the front where the hydraulics hook up to the blower, to the clamshell and all that. So that's in the works. There's some fittings that are gonna need to be purchased and some, a new line being made.
Any estimates on what this version of the fix is?
He didn't give me one.
Okay, so it's not part of warranty or anything like that?
No, the stabilizers are
Ah,
still under the
okay.
warranty.
So did John Deere work together?
Yes.
Oh, they did?
But yeah, well, I mean, through me.
Right.
But yeah, we finally got this thing righted. Now, I'd like to get the blower back down to Fairfield, because they're gonna have to put a new seal in. I'll get an idea what that's gonna be, if anything, because they told me that
right.
they'd stand by that motor when they put it in. So, that's where we are with that.
So there's nothing to vote on other than to go ahead and have them fix it without a quote on how much it's gonna cost?
I could call John Deere today and see what their, the kid there yesterday didn't know, he finally figured out what, with testing it and all that, what it's gonna need.
You won't have any leaves to blow soon, you'll be blowing snow with it.
Yeah. So far, so good, as far as that's going.
70-degree days,
Yeah, I know.
so I
72
say,
on Wednesday.
Let's just rush and do it.
Yeah, see, Fairfield's a couple weeks out, he said, but if I got the machine there, he said, maybe they could slip it in. I said, it can't take too long to put that seal into it.
Yeah.
It's not, they're not changing the whole, and that didn't even take long. When we got that bill for the motor replacement, I think it was only an hour and a half worth of labor. The cost was more for what the motor cost. So it shouldn't be a big job on their end. The John Deere job might be a little bit bigger, but like I say, the kid sized it all up, measured it all up, knows what he needs, so when he got back to the shop, I'm sure I could get a figure on what those parts are gonna cost.
So you wanna just give them the go-ahead to get this thing fixed?
Yes,
Otherwise, you wait until
Yeah.
next Tuesday to
Yeah.
take a vote on a quote that you don't have yet.
yeah, let's not delay.
Okay. Thank you.
It's an expensive blower.
Yeah.
Are you gonna vote on it, or are you
No.
good to go? Okay.
And I just wanted to throw another reminder out there about the parking lot at Hutwell and the parking bans on the roads. I know there's no snow yet and people are still parking on the roads, but from October 15th to April 15th, there's that parking ban for the roads. And the parking lot there between the signs, there's 3 things that have been parked there for quite a while. There's a contractor's trailer over there, and I'm gonna start pushing snow, and I don't care if it's gonna be in front of people's trailers. That's not my problem.
We
I need a
started to
place
discuss
place
the
it.
Hutwell parking lot ordinance. I don't know if you guys have reviewed it on your own.
I looked at it.
Yep, me too.
I found some bizarre language in it,
Yes.
particularly that it had 2 hearings in the previous board that were heated, uncomfortable with the public, and the end result was that it was actually, the last version of the ordinance was done by the legislative body at the 2003 annual meeting.
Yes.
Which is 2 annual meetings ago. And
2023, you said
2023.
2000.
Yes, 2023. And I don't see where,
There's any restriction. Like you said, for parking there.
not in the ordinance, it's just done by the signs, what he's
Right.
talking about. But the point I was gonna make is I don't see where it says that you can put a trailer in there for an
No,
extended
it
period of
doesn't
time.
Yeah.
at all. No.
Its language talks about vehicles,
Yeah.
and to leave them when they're for 30 days requires you to have something from the village with the logo on it on the dashboard. I don't see any trailers down there with dashboards on them. There are boat trailers, there are camping trailers, there are construction utility trailers, there's
snowmobile
homeowner
trailers.
small trailers.
Yeah,
and I don't think any of them should have been there for more than one overnight, not for.
Right, and I have no requests for any of those at all.
They just left there. Another strange thing is, it says, the wording is that you notify the village that you're going to leave a vehicle there for more than 30 days. So when I first read it, it says, all you have to do is notify us.
Yeah,
But
but
then
there
later it
is, there is
says
a, yeah.
That the village has to issue you a piece of paper with
Yeah.
the logo on it that
Yeah.
you put on your dashboard.
Mhm.
Well, that language kinda,
And I haven't seen one. I don't know what it looks like. There isn't any that I can find.
so, because it was done by the legislative body, we can't have hearings and change it before the annual meeting. What we can do is propose to the legislative body that we fix it. In the meantime, Jeff is looking for us to get the vehicles out of the way of the far end.
If I
well, at least the far, I mean, I've got nowhere to push snow right now, so when I start pushing snow and it's lumped up in front of your rig,
So
they're
there's
gonna
nowhere,
call and
because
complain to you, Jen, and you're gonna have to handle
Well,
it.
I still think we should put like red signs on those.
we're heading towards
yeah.
that discussion here right now, which is why we're taking a minute to do this. So you at least need the far end where you can push it the long way down and
That's,
do the
yeah,
traditional big 15-foot bank at the
Right.
back of the lot.
right,
But it'd be nice to have the side lot
well,
emptied, because the
Well,
vehicle,
yeah.
if vehicles need to park there during a snowstorm if they can't get up the hills.
that's what it's
That's what it's
for,
originally
Right.
for.
exactly.
They can't
Right.
park where all these trailers are, and I see no evidence that they're gonna be moving these trailers unless Jennifer gets to
No,
print these.
more got in there.
Right,
More ended up in there, is
Right.
what happened.
So, nobody has complained about the parking lot, but now we need it for
Winter.
winter use. So what would you like to do?
Well, we were planning on putting stickers to remove those trailers and,
Fluorescent
Those
pink
Right.
notifications that this trailer has to go. We're also gonna tow it and confiscate it, Madison Police will.
so I think we need to proceed with
But are we
that.
allowed to? That's the thing. Are we allowed
Yes.
to actually,
The village has done it in the past several times.
okay.
Just that we haven't seen an issue with it and haven't really, that's another discussion we can have for another time, but for the sake of efficiency, we would need to get Jeff an answer as to what this parking lot's gonna look like before the snow comes.
Yeah. Well, the sign clearly says that anything towards the back,
between those two signs.
between
that's
those two
November 1st
signs,
and
There shouldn't
April
be
has to be
anything
removed
there.
by November 1st.
Right. But on the side where
Right,
that's the issue
that's
that
where-
I'm worried
That's the
about.
great-
So if there were
The
vehicles
change to
parked
the
there that,
ordinance.
if there was a vehicle parked there that did the proper procedure through the badly worded ordinance, they could stay there.
Yes,
But the
but the
trailers
trailers,
have no defense in the
Right.
ordinance. And
And they're all trailers, except
Right.
for one vehicle.
so I'll make a motion that we put notifications on all of the vehicles that are parked there except for automobiles. And then we start
Okay.
the clock on the automobiles. The ordinance actually says something like, we go out with a crayon and put
a
something
marker on the
tires.
tire or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that we know if it moved.
It's like the old meter maids used to do.
We won't get into buying boots.
Right.
So are we gonna talk about like the wording of these signs? Are we gonna like go as far as saying that as of a certain date?
Yeah, it would have been November 1st, but
Well, yeah.
that's come and gone. They have, how much time you want to give them to move these trailers once Jennifer's carefully worded warnings go up? And it has to fit on the half a page.
I know.
10 days.
Wanted it to be big
10
enough.
days?
10 days?
10 days.
Okay, well,
So figure out when you're gonna print these, add 10 days onto the message. Just say they have to be removed by that date, or else they're gonna be
Or-
confiscated.
yeah. Okay, so there's a vote. You second, Nancy?
Was there
Aye.
a motion made
Yeah,
But
you
they-
made a motion
to what?
to go ahead and post.
Put the warnings up?
Yep.
Warning's up with 10 days.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
3-0.
Okay.
Then put it on your list of warrant articles.
Oh, it already is?
Yep.
As soon as I was looking at it, I was like, oh, that's going on the warrant.
then we're gonna have to take time to actually study it and fix every detail of it, which is not a 2-minute conversation.
Correct.
But it's done without hearings, it just gets presented to the annual meeting, and the hearing happens right there, and
Yep.
they make it a regulation for the village. What's next, Jeff?
So, speaking of winter, tire chains. Looking at what we've got and ended last year and all that, both Dodges are gonna need some new chains. They're probably roughly, I think, 400 to 500 a set for that size tire. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'll
2
get.
times 500 possibly?
Yeah, so I'll get some pricing on that.
Where do you get those usually?
Windy?
BB chain.
BB chain?
Yeah. He was by like last week with a pamphlet, and that's why I was kind of.
Oh,
I
nice.
didn't see him.
Yeah,
He stopped. I left something in the office
Yeah.
or something, so I was
Yep.
kind of just looking over the pamphlet.
nice.
The big truck, if I remember, I think those chains are worn pretty bad too. We usually put 4, 2 in the back and 2 in the front on the big truck. So it might mean that needs to be outfitted. Again, that's probably around 500 a set each. Again, just a rough figure. So there's another, say, 1,000. The good thing is that the backhoe's in good shape with chains, and the grader we might just need some. We're going to talk to him about maybe something a little more aggressive, just some cross links or something for a couple of the back tires. So there might be a little bit of cost into the upgrading the grader chains as well. So those are some costs that are gonna be for the winter time here, but like I say, the Dodges definitely need, those chains are worn right down. to
So that's
nothing.
2 complete sets right there. Then you're saying the International,
The International, I believe, is gonna need 2 sets, front and back.
So that's 1,000.
okay.
So tire chains, we're looking roughly a couple of thousand to,
That's without the grader.
yeah,
The grader was, when it was purchased 20 years ago, came with the best chains that amazed the Madison road agent at the time. He thought that was just rigged out,
Right.
perfect. And I don't know whether those are the chains that they got replaced over time and we didn't put the same quality on there.
yeah, I don't know, the chains, since I've been here, have been the same.
They
I mean,
almost looked like square links. They weren't.
Right.
They weren't.
We-
They didn't look like truck links.
No, they don't have the knobs or like the grader skidder tire would or something like that, or the tires the chains that we use on the
So you're gonna
truck.
shop for grader and come back for that?
Yeah, I want to kind of talk with Tucker from BB Chain about something more aggressive for the grader.
In the meantime, you could get by at the beginning of the winter with the chains you have.
Yeah, the chains on it are, if I add a few links here and there or something like that, I do want to talk with them about some. But yeah, the chains that we have on the grader will work.
I'll make a motion that we purchase up to $1,000 in chains for the Dodge and
Two
the
Dodges.
International 7400.
Second.
That's enough?
Well, yeah, did you say 1 or 2,000?
Two.
2,
Two.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that, again, I'm not positive 100%. That's just me looking at the brochures on the tire sizes and all,
Yeah.
but I will get
Yeah,
a better,
up to 2,000.
yeah, I'll get a better idea.
You can negotiate with the chain guy.
Right. Yeah, and I may not need all 4 on the big truck. I gotta go through them. I know that the 2, both for the Dodges, definitely need to be replaced.
yeah.
How do you vote on that?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0.
Okay, the 2018 Dodge needed a new battery. The truck wouldn't start yesterday morning, so I jumped it, ran it over to Alan, he tested it, and the one battery was good, but the other one wasn't. So we bought one yesterday. I hadn't had the old battery out at that point because I was driving the truck after I jumped it. And I brought the battery, the core, so it was an $18 core charge, so I just want to make sure that that core charge went back for the district. So I brought the battery back this morning to get that core charge for that, so
Okay.
we got that. And the gas fob, Jen changed that last week and that works, so
Is the
Yay.
state of New Hampshire for
Yeah.
purchasing gasoline as opposed to
at the
diesel?
state shed, yeah.
Good.
So that's all working fine, and then I just want to say thanks to Doug for the shirts. Thank you very much. Tony and I appreciate that.
No better to thank you for
Yeah.
all your hard work.
Well, thank you.
The shirt off his back?
Yes. But that's all I have.
So is the pile of hardwood logs in your way? It's been bothering me that I haven't got rid of those yet.
No, I mean, that shouldn't be an issue for winter. We could still plow around through there and all that.
You know what I'm talking about?
Which
Where?
ones?
There's a
Downhill.
pile of hardwood logs that could be bucked up into firewood
In the
that's
back there?
been sitting there.
Yeah.
It's on the access road curve, tucked
Yeah.
on the side.
Yeah,
But I was gonna try to sell them, but no, you
Okay.
had one guy that was interested.
Yeah,
It would have cost us to get it to him.
Yeah, I remember
Right.
that.
And I'm now thinking if somebody gets a log truck, that can claw them into the back of the truck in one visit and not tie us up with an operation where they're coming back and forth and having somebody decide that they're gonna cut them on our site, which we want to do. I just like to get rid of them. That tank that we tried to sell online, and I saw other tanks being given away while we're trying to sell ours.
right.
So there's stuff around the yard that
Could get cleaned
still on my
up.
mind to get rid of.
Okay.
I mean, we could load
Do
the
you-
big truck before we put the sander in.
I'm trying not to have you burn fuel or take your time. I'd like to see somebody just coordinate to come in, unlock the gate,
Right.
pick it all up, go, lock the gate, and we're done.
Well, I wasn't talking about the logs, I was meaning the metal. We
The
could bring that
metal.
over to the recycling
Oh,
place and
oh,
The
get a
tank
ham
and
sandwich
the,
for it.
the tank
you know,
and the heating
scrap
system
metal
that's on.
stuff, yeah,
Right, there's there's some metal out there, we can make a truckload and go over there and
yeah.
get, like I said, a $10, I don't know what they'd give us, but I mean, you get something for it.
So do we want to contact a local tree service to have those logs removed?
Yeah, if we got a hold of Barry or Sean.
That's
or
exactly
anybody
what I
else
was
that we
thinking.
know that has a logging truck that would just take them. Money.
There was also a bunch of, what was the date? This is last week, bunch of logs right on Altdorf, and Interlochen and Altdorf,
That
just
was a
laid there.
private property owner.
Okay.
That
I was wondering if that's,
promised to get them out of there this week.
On Lucerne? Those are gone.
the intersection of Interlochen and Altdorf.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, that's from the,
Oh,
The lot-
yeah, somebody did a little tree work over
Yeah.
there last week.
that's Barry. That's not there anymore.
I was gonna say,
Okay,
I don't think that's
I don't know
there.
if they're there anymore, I just wanna make
Right,
sure
he
if they
just-
are, if that's gonna
He had a
create
huge
an
crane
issue.
on Interlaken.
Yeah, last
Yeah.
week.
And
Okay.
just moved them there, because the crane took up 3/4 of the property.
Yeah,
And, so those are gone.
Okay, those are
That's the
gone.
truck I'm looking to have come and pick up
Yeah.
our stuff and get rid of that.
okay, that's good, just wanna make sure they're gone or it won't create a problem.
There are other places that people put logs in the edge of the road, and we have to chase them for a long time to get rid of them. It's, on the Class 6 roads, they're still there.
Okay,
That's another issue we have to get to someday. Back to your story.
Yeah, so that was it, that's all I had.
Oh.
So, I guess I'll try to get a message to Barry and Barry's service and Sean's service to see if they wanna come and take that firewood. I don't know if anybody else has a logging truck that might.
Yeah, I don't know.
Stevie Heath he converted his truck from a logging truck to a dump when the economy changed on logs. That's the only other one I know. Okay. So the blower's not gonna be around to blow the leaves off. I'm deciding not to put a request into FEMA to give us an estimate on the cost of hammering, because they're buried with leaves, and
Oh,
I can't justify
right.
having Jeff go out with a backpack blower, or
just to
we
clear.
discussed
yeah.
if we could do an estimate and whether the FEMA guys would be okay with us doing an estimate without taking measurements on the length of the ledge and the ditches that we want
Right.
to hammer out. So I don't want to slow down the total FEMA thing, because they said they're not going to evaluate anything until we give them everything we want to evaluate.
Right,
So I'm going to try to get them the riprap roads, the roads we want to have riprap, and see if they want to mitigate that. And that's this Thursday. So we'll go ahead and have a warrant article for hammering, but I don't know how we're gonna get an estimate on hammering, because somebody's not gonna give us an estimate unless they can see them too. And
Right.
Or measure.
That's not gonna happen
yeah.
until springtime. And March,
Comes quick.
yeah. So maybe what we'll do is Oak Ridge Road. And we'll have an experience with what that costs and how that
Right.
goes with the contractor, and do the rest of it another time. Anything else for Jeff?
No?
I have a question. There was a discussion at the special meeting we had on Saturday, resurrecting the board and batten brown outhouses on the beach.
Yes.
It was like unanimous. They don't want us to rent porta potties anymore. They want us to bring back the traditional New Hampshire
I don't-
outhouses on the
yeah.
beaches. Do you think all of the outhouses have equal problems with what was stuffed into the tanks underneath, or?
There's trash, I believe, in all of them, but I think the worst ones are Boulder Beach and Idlewild Beach. I don't believe Thusis is as bad, or
Geneva?
Geneva.
That's what I thought.
I think it's the bulk of it is those two there.
Those are the more public beaches.
Yeah. But again, without getting a
Right,
better
I
look.
just wanted to get an idea because I did contact
Bottom feeders.
Yes.
the company that was recommended by somebody in the audience that does this for the US Forest Service.
Yes.
There's a company in Meredith that has,
Oh, good.
they call it bottom feeders. They call
Yeah.
themselves bottom feeders.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's where they're going.
Yeah, have at it. They can do that job.
So I got an email into them, wait to see if we hear back from them, and then I'll follow up.
I agree with that. I think that those things are the way to go.
Nobody likes blue plastic porta
Yeah.
potties.
No.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, we're gonna have them this year,
Right.
because it will be this summer
We have to plan for them.
that
anyway,
we
yeah.
can start working on the,
Resurrecting these.
you know,
So we need a budget to rent the
Repairs.
porta potties for the summer, and we need
Yes.
a budget to fix the old.
Right.
to fix the old ones.
Right.
So hopefully summer of 2026, we'll have the old outhouses
Yeah.
back in operation with the
Big
exception
party.
of Porridge Shore, which will still have to use a porta potty, even though there's one person who always complains about it over there.
A big celebration at the outhouse.
Yeah.
Sure, we could have a champagne party opening.
Should we spring Jeff free?
We should.
You don't want him to stick around for the public appearances on the roads? It's up to you guys.
Well, he already weighed in on. Is that up next?
Yes, public
Yes.
appearances
Do
up
you want to
next.
hear this part?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
mind.
probably should.
All right, good, yeah.
All right, hang on for this one. So at 9:33, we'll go to scheduled public appearances, and the first one we have is Brian Towns of 13 Thusis.
Yeah,
Brian here?
yep.
Hi,
Do I
Brian.
speak from my, hello, do I speak from my seat?
You can?
Sure.
Okay. So, Brian Towns, very happy to be speaking today. I have this property for about 10 months now, and I understand that the driveway is causing some issues. I certainly don't want to impose ill effects on any other property, private or public, so I'd like to understand the steps forward. Really, I've got two questions, primary questions. One is physically, what do we need to do? And then number two is I think there may be some procedural steps around permits. So I'd really just like your input on what we need to do to resolve the issue.
So the driveway ordinance requires a negative grade, meaning water can't flow out of driveways directly downhill into the road and cause damage, particularly on gravel roads, which Class 6 Thusis is. So we need to see how the driveway, to okay the permit for it, for operations, we need to see that a negative grade is gonna stop water from flowing down and damaging Class 6 roads, which we can't maintain by state law. We can't fix that road. You have to fix it anyway. There is a major ditch and a culvert at the intersection of the Class 6 road that goes to a natural brook that goes to wetlands that feeds into the big ponds. So ultimately, a ditch that ran down the side of the Class 6 road that brought the water off the roof of your house, down your driveway, didn't go out to the Class 6 road that you have to maintain until the day that the voters decide that they'll take it over, which may never come. And ideally, it would go down a ditch line into the input to the culvert on that side and go through the filtering of the big wetlands that feeds the pond, so that no debris actually makes it in to the pond from there. So it's the negative grade that had us stop when we came out to inspect it, is that we just need to see. And the permit application has a drawing that's done by the state of New Hampshire Department of Transportation that shows that this 20-foot area before the travel surface is where a negative grade goes in. So the water has to leave your negative grade another way, and that's why I'm talking about the ditch that goes down and the water comes out that way. So that's what we're looking for.
Did you want to review the documents in here?
We did at the site.
Yeah.
So is that understandable?
Yeah, so the fundamental issue is a matter of erosion, and the fact that erosion coming from the property is affecting Thusis Road.
And the DPW is looking at what's happening on the road, and it's naturally heading towards where a valve cluster went in.
Yes.
With this, the contractor put 3 boulders surrounding this valve location. The valves were used to be visible at the time that they were installed. And since then, the erosion has buried those. I think it's probably getting close to 4 or 6 inches of
Sill.
fines, the small particles that are in the gravel of the road. And you can see the lines, the driveways, the road is telling the story of how the water's flowing over that. The problem we're trying to fix is that there are water cuts coming across the Class 5 road at that intersection where it curves around and turns into Appinville Way. And that's ultimately what we're trying to solve by getting a handle on fixing the way that whole thing drains. Your driveway, the road, the Class 6 road in Adable, and that goes further uphill to where there's a lot that's being developed. We want a driveway application for that that also has the negative grade and has control over the drainage flow. One of the things that the ordinance actually says about water hookups is the VDOE can specify how the Class 6 road gets maintained if there's a water hookup. It's another thing that's kind of strange by the way the ordinance is written. That didn't happen with the water hookup in the Class 6 road of Thusis that goes to your house. We didn't specify how that got put in. So in retrospect, or after the fact, if you cooperate, would help try to get that to be a nice setup. And it's basically controlling the water that comes off your lot and the water that comes down Adelboden. And I imagine the contractor is eventually going to build a house on that empty lot, and we'll be doing the same thing as trying to control it. Then, even further uphill, things have changed on Adelboden and Bristolstock that changed the way it all comes downhill. I don't know how far up we can go in trying to get control of this because the law says we can't maintain Class 6 roads. We could say that Adelboden is an emergency lane because if there was a brush fire or a woods fire uphill, that would be a prime road for the fire department to get up there to fight a woods fire because nothing's developed up there. And then to be able to get to a fire that's outside of Idlewise, because Idlewise ends with the lots that are up there. So that's the big picture. Back to you, it's the negative grade in your driveway is what we can do, and everything else is just your cooperation on what you want it to all look like and what we can do to help with the law lets and stuff.
Okay, so that's all very, very helpful context. Certainly everything you've described makes sense. Seeing is believing. Is there any possibility of having someone visit the site to help to provide specific guidance on what we need to do?
Road agent be available to meet? I have a good understanding, if I may speak.
I know what it looks like.
You were right.
I live walking distance and so does he. She doesn't. This is Nancy Cole and this is Woody McNiven. I think you might have met Woody before.
Sorry about the mix-up on the names.
I think your driveway's pretty close to it by the way it is now. It almost has the negative grade. It doesn't look like it actually has a way for your negative grade to drain and not go towards the road off to the side. So, I can meet, when are you gonna be there?
I don't live at the property, it's our weekend property, so I'll be here today and again next weekend.
So let's try next weekend, because you heard that we have stuff that we have already scheduled out today. So next weekend, you are in and out of there. I can meet with you there and run over what it looks like there.
Okay. Is there a way I can coordinate with you?
Yep. I'll give you my, do you email?
Yeah.
I'll give you my email address.
Sure.
Are we all set with you then? Do you have anything else?
One other question, the permits. Where do we stand on permits and what do we need to do to physically change anything on the driveway right now?
So he had a permit to construct, and the final step is the permit to operate it. And what we've been doing is,
So his construction one was revoked.
okay, so
We can read
we
it.
renew this one, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah, why don't
Or
we-
extend it,
or extend it.
yeah.
So I'll take this, and we'll meet next weekend. I don't know if you know a day of the week that you, on the weekend that you want to meet. And then we'll straighten this out and we'll issue a construction permit based on what you decide you want to do after we talk about it on site.
Okay,
And so that will let you make the changes that you want to make against the permit.
Right.
We'll
she'll
vote to
complete
renew
an
it, then you can go
inspection
do
form,
it.
yeah.
And then we'll inspect it afterwards and then decide whether it conforms and we give you the operations permit and
Right.
that's it.
Okay, very good.
and if there was time on Saturday, Saturday I'd be available, Sunday I am not. This
Okay.
coming weekend.
Okay.
And you can decide if it works
Yeah.
out for you too.
Right.
Very good, that's all for
What's
me.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
And then we have number one young Frau Keith Cunningham.
Sure. I'll come up here so I'm closer to the microphone.
Sure.
There we go. Well, thank you for putting me on the agenda. I thought it might be helpful just to give a tiny bit of background about what the situation is and has been for, I think, probably the last 5 years. And then hopefully we can come up with some way to work it out and make it work for everybody here. I think it was about 5 years ago that the town regraded the road. Prior to that, and we moved in 2008, so it's just a vacation home for us, weekend home. We never had any problem with runoff coming from, we're at the end of Jungfrau where it joins Aspen. And the runoff comes down Jungfrau, and it would go across in front of our driveway and then down around the corner. And then if you go on Aspen, it goes around the corner, follow along the road, which is paved there, and then there's a culvert that goes underneath the road and it drains off from there. But when they did the regrade, all of a sudden we started having problems where the bottom of the driveway, or I should say where the driveway and the street would meet, the water comes down at such velocity from up above, not on our property, but down Jungfrau, that it would result on, especially with these heavier storms that we've had, a ditch that sometimes would be a foot or more wide and maybe 10 inches or a foot deep. And so you couldn't get into the driveway without bottoming out. And if you had bicycles, for example, on the back of the car on a rack, you'd lose your rims on your bikes. So we'd just have to take the bikes off and we'd very slowly get into the driveway. And because it's a weekend, I'd get my wheelbarrow out, and 20 wheelbarrow loads later, after hauling the road mix up from Aspen, I'd fill it in so we could get into our driveway. A couple of years ago, and I had called the town a number of times and said, gee, we got this big ditch down at the bottom of the driveway, but again, where you're using it on weekends, it doesn't always work. The crews were generally pretty responsive and did come in and fill it with sand, which would just wash out again. But they never fixed the problem from the original regrade. So about 2 years ago, I created a water diversion, sort of the spread it and slow it philosophy. And it's on the right of way, it's not in the road. It's just a small which I had dug into the ground so that they were about this far above the surface, rocks that would
We
break
know what
the
it looks
flow.
like.
Yeah.
We have pictures, we sent you pictures.
Sure, you saw the picture. So I did that, and that's really made a big difference. We had one washout this summer. I think I probably did about 8 wheelbarrow fulls going down around the corner and pulling up the washed out road mix, putting it back in. But it's really made a huge difference. So I guess what I'm here to find out is, we can certainly remove the rocks, but that doesn't solve the problem. I guess that's one issue. And then the second thing is the rocks that are so if you're looking at our house, the rocks that are on the right, which are in the right of way, I think it's worth noting that last year when they plowed, there was never any movement of any of those rocks in the same, so we've had 2 seasons, I guess, where they plowed and none of them have come out. And so I'm happy to remove, today even the rocks that are, if you're looking at our house, it would be on the left side, even though I think that the plow doesn't usually, it doesn't get into that area. It's far enough off the road, it doesn't.
The wind
disturb
goes
it.
right to the edge.
Yeah, so I guess those are the 2 issues, is one, how.
Well, I'm saying the
how
wind
does-
plow goes right to the edge of the road.
Yeah, and I think the
Yeah,
rocks
I
are
haven't
more exposed now than they were a couple of
Yeah,
years
you look
ago.
like somebody
Well,
pulled
let me
one
finish.
up, but
Just-
I've lived there since 2008, or we've had the house since 2008, and I've never seen the plow go right to the edge there. That's where the slop from the plow goes. So I guess that's the question is, what can we do short of pulling, particularly the ones on the right side of the driveway up, because those would just be a lot of work to try and put back into place again. And then on the left side of the driveway, again, facing the house, I can push those back to the edge of the road. I'll just have to reinstall them again next year, though, to prevent the same erosion again. And I don't want you guys to be getting calls from me every, heavy rainstorm saying, hey, the road's washed out. It kind of makes sense to try and figure a way to solve the problem for good. So.
Well, started with the DPW identifying that as a problem for the plows,
Right.
particularly the ones on the left side that are in the road.
Yeah, I mean,
And they're embedded in the road.
they're embedded in the road. Like, you call it the right of way, but it's still our ditch line. It's still our shoulder, which is is part of the road.
Yeah.
And so they they were getting whacked by the wing, so the plow,
Yeah.
and they're going to get whacked again. We're trying to prevent anything like that from happening because, again, that's a potential breakdown on us in the middle of a storm. So, I mean, it'd be best if they were removed out. Now, I know your problem because, again, we'd go and we'd fill it in numbers of times over and over again with gravel. And it'd get you by until the next heavy storm, and then, the same thing would happen. And then that got shut off. So there is a change to the road that needs to be done as far as making that water not kind of go that way to do that on you.
All of Jungfrau, the whole road, is a drainage mess.
Right.
Construction.
Yeah,
It's
so
got
it's,
steep
Place has
slopes.
just made it a mess.
Your part isn't as steep going
Right.
back towards Appleville Way. Those lots are like this. And the ditch line needs to be constructed. And the real solution is there needs to be a culvert across the bottom of your road that's part of that ditching system.
There is a culvert, so if you go the next house up from us, again, looking at my house at the left side.
right.
There's a culvert just before their driveway that takes the water away. So all the water that's affecting us is water from our neighbor on down. And you can see on their one part of the driveway, it's just totally eroded.
Right.
They don't maintain it.
Right.
And so it's really trying to just slow that water down. Now, I'm happy to, I'm up here today, I can pull all the rocks that are in that right of way. Is the gravel an issue also for you? Because that's easy to just to rake back.
Yeah, no, the gravel's not going to create a problem,
Okay.
but the rocks are what's going to whack the wing,
Right.
and
Yeah.
bang that.
So I
The
can-
rocks
I
on the
can
left
do
side,
that.
Jeff, were set up to deflect the water out towards the middle of the road,
Right,
because it's a curve that goes out.
right.
The rocks on the right side almost look like they were not, were you intending on retaining the wall? retaining the earth up against that? Because it's not the same formation, it's like,
Yeah, so what
are you
happened?
hitting those with the wing plow also?
Well, again, I think, now, and I could be wrong, I don't think they were as many rocks last year as there were this year. I don't know if you'd added to the little setup you got going or not. I mean, because again, I understand why you did it. I mean, I was repairing that several times the last couple of years. But it's hard to say whether we were whacking them with the wing or not, you know what I mean? We whack a lot of things with the wing, unfortunately.
So we at least want to get the rocks that are embedded in the road on the left side out.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's-
We're not gonna
I'll
be
do
able
that
to
today.
go
I'll be
and
up for
fix
that.
the drainage problem for that road, for his particular house and for that road this year.
Right. Okay, yeah, again, unfortunately,
plan
we
that's
gotta get through the
gonna be a lot
winter
of
and then
money,
look
yeah.
at something
And we're
to
looking for
fix
FEMA
that
to
in a better
reimburse us.
permanent.
Right.
Right, just something that slows the water down and
Right.
spreads it. I think that, I mean, we'll have some washout, but it won't be the ruts that we've had.
Right, no, I understand, and that's definitely something that has to happen
So-
moving forward.
In other cases, we have put 1.5-inch rock across the mouth of a driveway to solve a problem similar to what he's talking about.
Yeah,
Like on Little Shore Drive.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the stone,
At Brandon's
yeah,
and on Little Loop.
right,
And it sounds like if he takes the rocks out that are in the road, that the wing plow is definitely catching.
Right.
That could take that plow out of commission in the middle of the storm.
right,
That would be a good first move.
yeah,
If the erosion puts cuts across the mouth of his driveway, we could put 1.5-inch stone, like we've done in other places, to stop.
Slow it down.
Well, it slows it down.
Yep.
It lets the water flow through. It also lets you drive into your driveway without boom, boom.
Bottoming out, right?
Yeah.
And the two houses that I just referred to were happy with what we did.
right,
It's not a permanent solution. We need to go back and
Mhm.
we don't have the budget set for that. We don't have.
Not this year, and we're out of time.
Yeah. What would a permanent solution look like? Would it be like a water bar on the
It would be,
side? Or?
permanent solution would be a 2 to 3 foot wide ditch that's stone lined with 6-inch riprap
Yeah.
and going to a culvert that has a proper header and enough fill over the top of it that the plow, your plow doesn't start to cut into the plastic HDPE
Yep.
black plastic culvert, and that the output actually goes to a good place.
Right.
That the rest of the drainage system brings it to, it would bring it to Banfield Brook, to where that road is closed with another $600,000 culvert problem.
Because right now it just flows down and continues down on Aspen and then
Yeah.
the
Right.
road material ends up outside.
Ideally, it would get to the
I blow
outside.
it, so I keep Aspen clean. People
Right.
Probably don't notice the sand.
oh, we noticed.
No.
Yeah, no, so yeah, that, you
So
know,
is it gonna cut, when does the erosion start? When the ground gets hard? Depends on what the weather does, whether he sees this thing happening at the
Right.
beginning of the winter or at the end of the winter.
it's usually the springtime when,
Yeah.
and then
That's-
whenever the heavy
I was
rain
starting to
is.
think that way,
rain
but I wanted
comes.
to see whether that may not be true, and that's dependent on the weather.
Right,
So in the springtime, we could definitely put the 1.5-inch, and if it gets bad in the
right,
middle of the winter, we could do it, but now,
we could put some
now the
stone,
plows are getting to it before those rocks freeze in place.
right,
Right.
So,
So does this sound like a plan? I'll take everything out on the left, and
Yeah.
I'll just take the gravel, because that's just a gravel bar there.
Yeah.
Just push the gravel to the side. And then next spring, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Something more permanent can be done. And if you have an issue on the right side of the driveway, I don't want the plow to get hit, but if you go and inspect it and say, gee, you get these two rocks out of here, I think we're a lot safer, I'll just move those.
Right.
So,
okay, I appreciate that.
Whatever works, I don't want you chipping the plow, because we,
Right.
getting up
right.
that hill is
Yeah,
important to us. So.
yeah. That sounds good,
All right.
thank you,
all set?
Yeah, that's great. Thank
Great.
you.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
we'll have that
Very
done
good.
today.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
thanks.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
you.
Thanks for coming. Thank you. So at
Thank you.
9:54, we'll move to signature items.
Administrative report.
Oh, I jumped down too far. So
I'm
at
all set,
9:55, we'll go
Yes,
to the
you're good,
administrator's
Jeff.
report.
Jeff, all
We'll
set?
see you
Yep.
guys
Yep.
Yeah.
at
Thank you, Jeff.
Deesburg.
Yep,
Yep,
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I just am mentioning this because I'm looking at the calendar for scheduling. And so for December, Commissioners' meeting schedule, on that Tuesday, there's a noon closure. It's the day before Christmas. Are we scheduling a meeting that day?
Christmas Eve.
Say we move it to another day. Or not have one that week.
I'm proposing not having one that week.
Are you as much into the holiday spirit as Jennifer's gonna be?
Well, I'm out those
Are you gonna be as
those
gone as
days,
Jennifer?
so.
Carrie forces me into the holiday spirit, so yeah, I'm usually the Scrooge of the household, so, but I have no problem, you know.
What do you wanna do?
If we-
Just do it the
Just skip
following-
that week, but
yeah.
then
So then.
But then you get the
Then
same
following
problem the
is
next week,
New Year's Eve.
because it's Christmas, it's New Year's
Right.
Eve. So,
Well,
And
when
we don't-
does New Year's Eve fall on?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
following
Yeah,
Tuesday.
see?
yeah, so you
So we
can't,
can't go 2 weeks.
yeah,
Right,
But you'll be here
correct.
on that Tuesday of New Year's Eve.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
And so, let's keep that meeting where it is.
For
Yeah.
January, yeah.
For December 31st.
So pop champagne
Yeah.
at 10 a.m.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what do you wanna do the week of Christmas? No meeting or another day?
Well, the only day that would
Well,
make sense is Monday.
Yeah,
Monday the 23rd, because once Christmas Eve hits on Tuesday, people are just AWOL until the next Monday.
And she usually needs the Monday to get everything done for the
Together
Tuesday.
for
Fests and
Tuesday,
whatnot, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So you wanna skip Christmas week?
Why don't we just skip that week?
Okay,
Now, while we're at it, I would like to pick the day for the special meeting of the commissioners on a Saturday where we focus just on the 2025 budget. And I'm thinking that that may end up being the first Saturday in December.
yeah, you did
I
that
thought-
last meeting.
We picked it
Yeah.
already?
The
December
7th.
7th?
Yeah, December
Correct.
That's right,
7th?
you said Pearl Harbor Day.
Yep.
And so I was gonna get into that meeting a little bit, but I'll do that later. Because
Okay.
right now we're just doing administrator's report. So we're all set on
Yes,
the
thank
meetings that
you.
you wanted to talk
Yeah.
about? How did you make out, one of the things I'd like you to do is figure out the date for the budget hearing. Get familiar with the RSA that specifies how many days in advance of the annual meeting the budget hearing has to take place. And it's usually done by setting the date based on what the RSA says, and then has a follow-up date, because should something come up at the budget hearing, the first budget hearing,
You see?
there may have to be a continuation to a second budget hearing, and I believe that has to be 7 days later.
Mm-hmm,
So it's usually a Friday.
yep, it's usually a Friday
It's usually
evening,
Friday evening at 6 or 7.
I think 7 is normal. We
But-
we can set that whenever we
What
want.
month is this usually done?
It's gonna be in February.
Well, I've been saying January because for 40 years it was in January,
Yeah.
now
Oh.
it's not.
Last year it was on this year, this past February was February 16th. But
Yeah,
at that point, we already knew that the annual meeting was going to be on the 23rd of March. Of course, that got delayed a week due to the snowstorm. But is there a certain amount of time?
Yeah, it's like 5 weeks.
5 weeks? All right, so,
She'll
So, I just
she'll
want her-
verify that when she finds the
I wanted to get
RSA.
familiar with this because the administrator is the one that tells us when the meetings
okay.
happen.
Right,
And then she's also gonna get familiar with the posting of the warrant and all little details like that, absentee ballots. I don't think she has had to do that yet.
nope, she wouldn't have done any of that yet.
There's a whole thing about the annual meeting that starts with the budget hearings.
Mm-hmm,
And so the budget hearings will be on some date in February. The meeting is gonna happen earlier this year than it did last year. I
Right.
thought it was ironic that Thomas Gunn was in the audience saying that he didn't make it to the meeting and he missed a vote that he wanted to go one way, and his vote would have actually affected it. And he didn't make it to the meeting because the previous administrator pushed the meeting out for one commissioner who was coming back from vacation in time, but she didn't feel that he had enough time assured to make it to the meeting, so the meeting got pushed out to later in March,
Right.
and he didn't even come. So the vote on the level of the ponds,
You mean the annual meeting got pushed out?
the
Yeah.
annual meeting got pushed out to a later date that
Yeah.
we're not gonna do this year, we're doing it earlier.
Yeah.
But that affect the vote that went on the pond level, and this
Oh,
guy,
I get
this
you.
guy property floods because
Right.
of a
Because of the
vacation the
pond level.
commissioner had
Right,
for a meeting he didn't come to,
That was the gentleman that spoke at the special meeting?
Thomas Gunn.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
So he also didn't get an answer as to, he was asking what he could do, and I think the answer is a petition warrant article.
Yeah, you did. I think you said
Did
that.
we tell him that?
Yeah,
At the meeting?
I'm pretty sure you did.
For,
I don't
for
know.
what, which one, are, the pond look?
Yeah, he wants to revisit the play. He asked if, what he wanted, he suggested we talk about the dam, and when he did it, he gave a little intro saying that he didn't make it to the meeting, he spelled that out.
Right.
I don't think we answered
But
him.
then, no, we
Did
didn't,
not.
it just dropped there, then.
Right, because it never made
We
a
never,
priority.
we
to
never
be
got it.
discussed.
Well, you put it number 2 on the priority list on the minutes, but it really wasn't, because we went from taxes to, the beach.
It
beach
wasn't,
stuff.
the first list was not prioritized.
Oh, okay.
It was
wasn't
the order
right.
that
It was
they
just the order that
said.
came in, okay.
It said pre-prioritized
Okay.
list.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then the minutes show the order that they got prioritized.
Right.
Except Doug Slid went in on us on volunteerism at the end, but that's okay.
Well, Doug gave us a laundry list that went.
So do we
So-
wanna put the pond ordinance on the warrant?
My answer would be no, the commissioners don't do it.
And I don't have a problem with the one there, I mean, I really don't, I mean, it gives us plenty of discretion,
Yeah, we didn't have an issue at all this summer.
because we didn't have
um,
heavy rains.
Where we had to move,
And
you know, where we
according-
needed to do anything.
According to Jane, who talked to Carrie, she said, yeah, the only time they have problems is during the heavy rains, but we didn't have any heavy rains this past.
Right,
Well, let's not, I just wanted to bring up the setting of the meeting dates and
Yeah,
Yep.
mention that he didn't get an answer. I didn't want to take this meeting up in deciding what answer he gets, but should we give him an answer?
if he wants to put forward a petition warrant article, he can.
I think
Just
that,
like
I think
anybody
that's
else.
the
I
answer
think that
best.
would be the best thing.
So I don't have his email address, I don't think.
I do.
Do you want to send him an email saying, make a motion that Nancy sends him an email suggesting that he gets 10 signatures of voters on a
Okay.
petition warrant article if he would like to see something, anything on the warrant, including any modification to the pond level management that he mentioned. That we need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So Nancy will send him a little email.
Okay.
Okay, so that's taken care of. How did you make out with, are they called YubiKeys?
I haven't looked at it.
You haven't found anything
No.
there? Okay. I think I actually saw them installed at the Spectrum store in each terminal that the commissioned agents use. You'll be going there? Have you gone there?
I will be going there, yes.
Should ask them if they work on commission. I heard one of them say it. It's like walking into a car dealership.
Oh,
And then when they
no.
said that they're commissioned, I thought, this is a car dealership. That you can't, there are no listed prices. The manager comes out and they, anyway, you're gonna have an experience. I don't wanna take time with that.
May I ask a question? How much is that you're going to be spending? Because there's a limit on the credit card.
How much is the limit?
2,500.
Yes,
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That high?
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
2,500.
And
yeah.
then we'll be, well, unless it's more.
Yeah, no, the last, plans have probably changed, but the last time I checked, you could get like, a really good quality phone was, and you put it on the plan, which is only, let's say, $50 per phone per month. the upfront cost is pretty low. It's a
Yeah.
couple
I
$100.
just didn't want you to go and get declined, because we didn't have a high limit on that, because it's
Yeah,
supposed to be
I
for.
don't
I don't.
think that they're gonna purchase the phones,
Okay.
you
Well,
know?
I'm just.
Okay, so there's enough money in the card to purchase the phones, that's not a.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about
I
that.
thought it was.
It's all like
But-
financed, yeah.
Anything else on administrator's report?
That's all I had.
Okay, so anything else you have for Jennifer? No? So what time we have?
10:05.
At 10:05, we'll move to old business tabled items. And the first thing on the list here is 26 Hutwell driveway permit for construction.
That's signature items.
Did I jump off?
Yeah, you skipped Hutwell
Hutwell
parking.
lot
Parking.
request form.
Request form?
Yeah, well, I sent you guys a copy of what I found.
Gee, oh, this is just the form
Oh,
itself, somebody's
oh,
not.
the
Yeah.
form itself?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys had a chance to read it, but
No, like-
I don't have any submitted for any of those vehicles that are there currently. So, I don't know. We could talk about it later. I know we already talked about well parking and what we're gonna do, but we should visit this.
Okay,
When we
so
visit the,
you want to put that on the agenda for next week and we'll review it ourselves?
sure.
Be prepared to
Okay.
discuss it, possibly modify it?
right, cause I know I'm gonna get phone calls.
So you must have things that you
And-
know you want to modify on that.
Yes,
So maybe you should tell us what that is so
Okay.
that we can be efficient at.
Yeah.
sure.
And that's-
So does this have to be part of the ordinance changes, although this doesn't
No.
really?
No, it's not, it's not part of the
Yeah,
ordinance.
It's not,
It's its own thing.
but should it?
Can I just take a quick look, so I know what I'm looking at here? Okay, so this is,
So I guess we could talk all about that.
oh, this is the release form.
So that's a form you found.
Volunteer, yes.
That's-
The
That's
ordinance
the
doesn't say
volunteer
that there's a
form.
form that gets filled out, it says notify.
Yeah, there's,
Yeah,
This is
Doesn't-
not
that's,
what goes
that's
with
true.
form.
Yeah, oh, that's the volunteer form.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about the Hotwell.
oh yeah, so did I. I didn't bring that? Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought people.
I thought that was a copy
Yeah,
of
that's a
it.
Yeah,
different.
I'm sorry.
That's a different form.
That's a different topic.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem. So,
I brought the wrong copy, sorry.
right, so,
Yeah, but there is a form.
so when we recess and go to Diesbach, then go to the office, we'll be in public session.
Yeah,
Do you want to pull the form out and give us a rundown verbally of what you will see as issues with it before we get ready for next week?
well, I don't know if they're issues. I just didn't know if you collectively wanted to talk about it.
Let's back up. The ordinance
And then the
doesn't say anything about a
ordinance.
form.
It
Right,
doesn't.
That's what I mean.
But there
So-
always used to be a form, as I recall, that if you wanted to.
There was, if you wanted to be parked more than 30
30
days,
days.
there was a form. But I don't see that in the current ordinance.
This is worth 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay.
Yep.
So at the 2023 annual meeting, do you remember at the end of the annual meeting when this had to be a petition warrant article because
It was.
done by the legislative body? So whatever the ordinance was before that was at the discretion of the person that wrote the draft that got put on as a petition warrant article.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that vote? Do you remember how that went? Do you remember who wrote the
The same
petition warrant
person,
article?
the same person that wrote the
Bond.
Bond
bond
level?
level.
So,
That much I remember clearly.
Right.
so we don't need to fix the application because the application isn't part of the ordinance.
Right.
Right,
We need to fix the ordinance.
Yes.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
we
and it's
need-
already on the
We
list.
need to
Yeah.
draft a warrant article ourselves that will be what we suggest the ordinance becomes.
Right,
Mhm.
Which should include the application
right.
Yes,
in a more clear language as to what gets a permit and what doesn't get a permit.
right.
Not leave it on what has a dashboard and what doesn't have a dashboard.
Right.
Because I thought a snowmobile and a trailer could have a dashboard. Now we're into legal issues,
Yeah, semantics,
right?
Okay.
which lawyers could twist.
So we
in
need to
knots.
work on, another thing we need to work on before February.
Well, I'm looking at Doug. Can you send a Word version of the driveway ordinance and the parking ordinance to me?
Because it's just in PDFs that
Because
are
it's just in
scanned?
PDFs that were scanned in,
Crooked scans?
but he can.
Yeah, the crooked scans.
Yeah, but if he can turn it into a Word, and you're the only one I know that can do that. I know I can't.
The driveway and which?
Him and Larry.
Driveway and the
Hutwell parking.
Hutwell parking, the parking ordinance.
Doug and Larry are the PDF magicians.
And they shouldn't go into PDFs that are scanned.
No.
They should, they don't need to be Word files, but they can be PDFs that are readable.
Yes,
Because his software is doing optical character recognition on the image of the document,
yeah.
doing a best guess as to what the letters really
Oh,
are.
wow.
Well, there might be a couple of little things that have to get fixed, but if I can at least start with a
Yes,
Word
yes.
document, it'll give me a starting point to
That'd be great if we can do
listing
that.
out the changes that we know we want to see.
And if you want to write the new ordinance after you do that,
These two will probably be a lot easier than the water conversion. That was a tough one to convert to.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a tough one, but
Because it had all
I've
the-
got
Yeah,
it
because it
all
has all the
cleaned.
drawings for in the middle.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, that was always fun.
so is that good for the Hutwell parking request form?
Yeah.
Yep.
For now?
Yeah.
The next thing is the water statement.
Nope, that's.
Non-public.
Oh, we're not doing that one,
Non-public, yep.
So then, at 10:11, we'll go to signature items.
Yep.
And the first signature item is the driveway permit for construction for 26 Hutwell.
Yes, that's the one we looked at last weekend or last week.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the application for construction for 26 Hutwell.
I'll second that.
Were there any conditions on this?
No, we didn't have anything listed.
All in favor of approving this, say aye.
Aye.
3-0. So at 10:12, we'll move to commissioners' reports.
I've got one more.
Okay.
I just need a signature on that Eastern Minerals, the road salt quote.
So we voted to
Allow Jeff,
allow
yeah.
Jeff to buy it, right?
Yes.
So they just need a signature?
They do.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion that I sign this and date it.
Yep.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. 11, 5.
Thank you.
So now we leave signature items and go to commissioners' reports at 10:13. So I already mentioned that I'm going to not ask FEMA to consider reimbursing next year for hammering ledge.
For mitigation, you
For
mean?
mitigation,
Yeah.
for 75% reimbursement for the hammering. We have no idea how much hammering there needs to be done and what it's gonna cost. And I don't wanna hold up everything else for that. I talked about the wood already at the DPW, we talked about the metal, UV keys, budget hearings. I think I covered everything about my commissioner's report in other pieces during the meeting. The only question I have when we go to yours is where we are with that list of stolen items.
Okay.
I haven't, if you could
Mm-hmm.
cover that, that would be good. So I'm gonna pass it off to you.
Okay, with regard to the, that list you're talking about, that I had to set aside to get the lead line,
Oh, yeah.
but that was my first priority. That is all done, other than we have to vote on some stuff here today, and then I've got a lot of, I'm organizing all the receipts from those vendors into notebooks to give to our DPW crew to review. And so I should get that hopefully to them this week. But let's get to the lead line. Okay, as I reported last week, Larry was able to convert over the PDF of all the addresses into an Excel, but I still continued to clean it up so that all these names weren't compressed into one column. That
Right.
They're segregated.
Yep.
So that's all done, so I can send that to Minuteman Press and it'll work perfectly
All right.
for what they need. I also got a quote. We have to send, this is the thing we need to send out. Looks like this. It's 2 pages. This is a black and white version. If I had a color printer, especially the back is a real nice color diagram. So that's why I asked Minuteman Press for a color quote. I don't think we really need it. I think this will be fine in black ink. That's my opinion.
I do too.
Okay, but just to let you know, the 2 quotes are as such. To go to approximately 500, it's a little less, it's like 488 addresses, but I said let's just go with 500 for the moment. So I didn't know what it was going to end up at. So to do the black and white mailing, bulk mailing rate will cost $347.77. If we wanted to do the color, it'd be $420.13. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve the black and white bulk mailing of this particular 2-page letter at $347.77.
Second.
Any discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0.
Okay.
Okay. So this will get to Minuteman Press. This will probably be in the mail the end of this week. The deadline, according to EPA, was November 15th. So we'll be well ahead of the deadline.
Nice job.
But then, if people start calling in, I'll get this to you, Jennifer, there's a little letter, I'll send it to you, and I'll fill out this stuff, but this needs to just be sent to them. Because, you know,
Sent to
let's
whoever
say,
calls?
let's say how homeowner
Yeah.
calls you and says what they want
Of
more
course.
information, you can mail this to them.
Okay.
But there's also some other requirements, I gotta read into it, sounds like they want something on the website
Sure.
that we're gonna have to add, so there's a little more information I'll send as to, so homeowners, if they want more information, can also look on our website. And then I think, I wasn't able to find it this morning, I think there's a form just informing the world, the New Hampshire DES and the EPA that we've done it and we met the
Yeah,
deadline.
we gotta send it back to
So
them.
let me, I gotta find that form.
Yeah,
Yes.
But the first thing to get done is this getting out in the mail, which will happen this week.
beautiful.
Good.
Very good.
So that's it.
Anything else for us?
Nope.
I don't think I had much of anything for
What did you
today.
think
I
about-
just know that we have a couple of things coming up with a driveway this afternoon or with a road this afternoon and that type of stuff, but that was, so,
When we do the budget special meeting, I was thinking if we set it up so that I didn't do so much talking.
You mean the
next
follow-up
one,
special
December
meeting?
7th.
when we do the one on December 7th, we will have the Excel spreadsheet that is the one that will be used at the annual meeting.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Jennifer was meeting with Catherine, or talking to Catherine last week. So we held off until Catherine could give any input that she had to fix a couple things, like if you look at the bottom of the profit and loss right now, there's a thing for payroll expenses. That's actually 2 employees' payroll from sometime in March. So that'll, if she was able to move it, that'll be great, but if she wasn't able to do it,
We need
then
to
when
know
we
where it
do,
goes, yeah.
when we do
We have
the,
Budget.
Get-
when we do the Excel spreadsheet, then what we'll do is we'll be adding those numbers into the proper lines.
Correct.
So that the final spreadsheet that we all look at next week, will have all of those expenses properly assigned, regardless of what the QuickBooks report may say. So for
And
next week, we will have that Excel spreadsheet that will get us setting up, and that also gives the point where we can start setting in 2026, or, 2025.
Yes. New
Budget
budgets.
numbers.
Yeah.
Budget numbers, like we already know what the health insurance is gonna be next year. So we can simply just start plugging some of those numbers in, before we get to that.
Yeah.
So that'll give us a couple of weeks to, iron that stuff out before we get to that next, commissioners meeting on a Saturday.
So we're 4 weeks away from December 7th,
Mhm.
roughly.
Yes.
And there'll be at least one meeting that would or won't be here. So that's what we have to get all this done so that we're prepared for December 7th. We're basically notioning the direction, asking whether they like the direction. We get
Right.
Feedback.
Mhm.
It's usually major items over the budget and warrant articles.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 years ago, it was,
Buying equipment.
yes, trucks and graders and
Yes.
backhoes and things like that.
Yes.
This year will be road projects and water system stuff.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just laying it out. Do we want to have a line item in the agenda that it's the budget that we talk about
Next
each
week?
each week
Oh,
coming into the 7th?
Yeah, that would make sense.
If you want to put
under
that,
old business table
yeah, you
items?
can put it into old business and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
make it a bullet under old
Yeah.
business, not a new numbered item.
Yep.
So when did you say the format that works best, like we had at the annual meeting last year?
We will have that for next week
For next
with everything
That's great.
properly assigned.
Very good.
Well, we'll review it.
Yes.
Be sure it's properly.
First draft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we understand some of the expenses may not be in the
We
right
have time to fix
classification.
that as we go too.
That'll be fixed on that
Okay.
spreadsheet.
Okay,
It's easy enough to do that.
okay.
It's,
And
that's simple math.
And my druthers is if we're gonna do that meeting on December 7th, that the Excel spreadsheet, that format of year-to-date actual expenses incurred is current as of 11/30 of this month. So in other words, we have full 11 months of actual expenses incurred for 2024 to help us budget out 2025.
Yeah, we'll be as close as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand there's gonna be some things.
Yeah, there will
Right.
be.
Right, we'll be as close as we
Yeah,
can for the
'cause
December
I don't
7th.
pay some of December bills till January.
Right,
No, I'm not worried about December bills. I'm worried
Okay.
about that November bills, even if not actually billed, we're on an accrual basis, should
Yeah.
still be reflected in the QuickBooks.
not if they haven't been billed.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
If they've been billed, they'd be put into the QuickBooks,
Right.
even if they haven't physically been paid, okay?
No.
No,
No.
it goes,
No.
Why not?
When did that ever occur?
Because we're on an accrual basis.
I don't enter bills in until I pay them.
correct.
But you could,
Why? What?
because they're gonna be paid anyway.
That,
But they get,
All right, I'm not.
No, because we vote on them.
Okay.
we vote on
And
them,
even if the odds are that everything gets voted, there's still the vote.
right,
That's why she doesn't do it.
Right.
That's why it's never been done that way.
Right.
Okay. But if we owe a vendor, let's say, just say $1,000, but it hasn't been paid yet, it's an accrued expense and could be reflected on the P&L. Unless,
How?
okay, I'm going back to my
how am
accounting
I going
background,
to do
so.
that?
No, he wants it to show what the liability is.
yes,
That's
and that
impossible.
doesn't show.
And that's
What?
not the way.
Okay.
That's not the way it works.
All right, I'm not gonna argue, this is.
Yeah.
You're not wrong,
This
it's
is
just not.
municipal.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. It's
No
a difference
no one's
between,
arguing whether you're
Not
right
the
or
way it's
wrong.
done in
correct,
business.
Right.
correct, it's a difference
Yes.
between municipal
And we don't pay
versus,
taxes.
and we don't pay
We
taxes,
collect taxes.
correct,
There's somebody else that just bugged, their head was wired for traditional accounting.
Yeah,
right,
And that's all based on tax reporting.
right,
And we don't pay taxes, we live on taxes.
Right. Right, we
So
collect
it's-
taxes.
Okay, so we were on Nancy, so I don't know if she's got,
Well, that was pretty much it, was just saying,
So we
this
really
is,
are- we really
this
are
is
on a
the
cash
upcoming
basis.
for the next
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
Okay,
All set?
Yep,
Because I was gonna say that I have been having discussions about uranium and thought I should have put that in my commissioner's report, like I
But it's
always
right
remember
here.
thinking, it's the next thing coming up
it's
anyway.
next right here.
So at 10:25, we're gonna go to correspondence, where you have the Granite State Analytical findings of the testing of Muddy Beach 1 and 2 for uranium. I posted on social media both of these results.
did you?
And I pointed out that Muddy Beach 1 didn't pass and Muddy Beach 2 did. And people don't completely understand this, because it's not easy to understand, that finding uranium in the well isn't a steady thing, that it goes up and down based on things you can speculate. People speculate, but they don't really know for sure. There could be a rock down there that's degrading, a piece of granite that's degrading, which it does. And that could be releasing uranium based on what the water tables are doing down there. So we see this Muddy Beach tickle over the acceptable level and then go back down. And there was a comment by somebody brand new to the whole situation that says, shouldn't we just make the drinking water safe? And my response was, the state of New Hampshire tells us whether this drinking water is safe. They tell us what to do. They see these results, they review it, and they tell us continue testing. And what happened, I didn't get into, I don't want to keep explaining this to every single person that comes into Idlewise, like the many subjects as to why we do what we do.
Right.
Everybody has to go down through their list in the same order. So, Muddy Beach. I think we should have a warrant article that puts a cement floor into Muddy Beach. And there's two reasons for that. One is we know that the humidifier there is running all of the time, because it's a dirt floor that has an odd array of stones on it, meaning they're not all uniform, and it's hard to walk on that, and I don't know who decided to do that. But the second reason to put the cement floor in is in preparation should the day come that we need to put uranium removal equipment in there. We want that on a cement floor. So, so I'm saying with this correspondence is that I don't think we've put it on the website yet, these uranium findings.
Nope.
Do you want to do that?
Sure.
I can send you the two pictures, or you can put the whole report on, like you've done before. And I want to say that I think that we should take the step. Now, the other thing that concerns me is the tank at Muddy Beach is the only tank that we owned that has no access to the inside of the tank by a human. All the other tanks that we have, you could go in and see, we've actually tested to see the thickness of the metal, because they were all underground, as is Muddy Beach. Muddy Beach has always been classified as an ocean buoy.
yes,
I
that's
don't
the
know if they-
legend.
I don't know if, I'm not familiar with ocean buoys to know that they were that shape. But this is a big 5,000 gallon cylinder with,
You can only, I thought you can only see part of it.
yeah, you can only see the part that comes into the building.
Yeah,
The rest of it is underground.
yeah.
And so we don't know the condition of that tank as far as whether the metal is thick enough for it to continue. What I'm getting at is we make investments in the Muddy Beach pump house and then find out we have to replace the tank.
I see.
So does it make, do you want to do it in stages, cement floor first, then tank, or tank first, then cement floor,
Put them,
or put them all in one
put
fell
them,
swoop?
put them both on the
Well,
warrant?
that's the question. Is, do we talk to Nick's schedule about his recommendation as to whether we invest in the floor? And then just know that someday we have to replace the tank, which means the whole back wall of that. What I'm imagining is all the ground behind the tank is excavated to expose the tank for something to pick it up and take it out.
Yep.
But it's also embedded into the cinder block wall, which means that cinder block wall is gonna be rebuilt
Completely, yeah.
for the new tank.
Yeah, and don't
Which is
forget
probably gonna
about
be a plastic tank.
uranium, taking the equipment to take uranium out.
Should go on the
Right, we
floor.
might have equipment in there at the time
Yeah.
of taking the back wall out.
Right.
This is how I see things, I'm trying to
So-
imagine the possibilities that we go through.
So if we put both of them on the warrant for next March, we can certainly have a quote for a 5,000 gallon tank, and installation of that,
Floor.
and a quote for a concrete floor. Do the tank first and then put the floor in, and then we would be good for, should we need other equipment like the uranium removal or anything like that we need to add into, the building would be set.
Right.
Yeah.
So it seems to make sense to me that would be the order we would want to do it in.
That I
But we
agree.
would want the funding for both parts on next year's warrant.
It's
Okay.
possible we could do the concrete floor without a warrant on it. It's not that
It's not that big of, it's not that big of a
expense.
flow.
We have the money in
Right.
the capital reserves, the water system to do it.
Right,
But
That's
then to
part of the
dig it
question
out,
is-
if you have to, yeah.
Well, once the floor's in, if we knew for sure that that wouldn't be affected, that if we put equipment in there and we had to take the equipment out to put the new tank in,
right.
Yeah, I like your. I
And
like
we know that every other tank has been inspected somewhere in the last 10 years. Except for Muddy Beach.
yep.
Tanks have been lined because they get thin and things of that nature, except for Muddy Beach. It just seems to make sense that we would want to replace that tank.
So we'll head towards a warrant article that does all Muddy Beach,
Yeah,
redoes Muddy Beach.
Well, I like your, maybe just the tank requires a warrant article, but if we have enough funds in a capital reserve.
to do the floor and stuff afterwards, we can do
don't have
that.
to put that on the warrant article.
Yep.
But I-
That would start saving money in the
Right.
electricity for the humidifier.
Right,
But I agree that those two things should be done before we even think about uranium mitigation equipment. You don't want to put that equipment in and all of a sudden, ooh, we gotta put in a new tank and they have to go in through the inside. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
So we'll look at possibly replacing the floor this winter, and no, we're gonna put a warrant article in for the tank.
Wouldn't you want to, wouldn't it make sense to do the tank absolutely first before anything else? Because if you don't want to put a new floor and have that torn up when they go in to put in a tank.
part of it might also be a thought process of, right now, walking in Muddy Beach Pump House is an ankle changer, you know? I mean, you can definitely step the
Wow.
wrong way
Yeah,
on
yeah,
any of those
yeah.
rocks. And that might make it a little more difficult for the guys that would be
Doing the tank?
doing the tank.
But they got to excavate all that earth behind the building to expose the tank.
Yeah, but that's outside.
Right.
They're gonna be inside and outside.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm just
So
concerned
we'll-
if we put down a brand new, nice, beautiful floor, that may get torn up and damaged in the installation of the tank.
This is where we should discuss this with
Right.
schedule.
with Nick,
I think we should have
Yeah.
some expert opinion weigh in.
yep,
And Ian, he's probably seeing this, has an idea of that too.
right.
All right, so we'll bring that back up, but we have it on your list.
Yep, I have it on the list.
And I just have a question, which well popped positive for uranium, the deeper or the shallower well? I don't remember which Muddy Beach one is. There's one like at 100 feet. and
I wouldn't
another
want to say
100
without,
feet?
I have to look that up
Okay.
every time.
Yeah, I'd have to look.
No, I thought you just knew
Again.
it off the top of your head, so.
No, we don't, because I can't see it. One more thing before we close on this. Electricity. We are paying the Eversource price. Next week, I'd like to bring the Eversource price that we're paying versus the coalition price, the New Hampshire Coalition. And we have time, if we pull it together, we've got a committee of 3 people other than us. It requires a committee of people to do a little work and present it to the public, and then it takes a vote at the annual meeting for the coalition to accept it. After that, the coalition can accept an application. I'm kind of fuzzy because it's been over a year since I went through all the details, and there were long videotapes showing how you do all this. I don't know whether we would find 3 people that would want to participate in getting this done, but if we ran some numbers and showed what the delta is and how much we're paying annually for the Eversource rate versus finding a third-party broker, which is still a possibility, versus signing up with the coalition.
Mhm.
So I'll bring the coalition number and the Eversource numbers, and
Okay.
we'll talk about that next week, so we can put that under old business also to discuss power.
Okay,
There is time if we could ask the people that were interested in volunteering to do stuff, if they would
Mhm.
sign up to do that, and we could lead them, make it as easy as possible for them to do that. Anything else you'd like to discuss? We're at public comments? Yes, Doug?
Yes, I've got just a additional thought on the list of missing items, is that the correct term?
Misappropriated, you're
Yeah.
saying?
Would like to suggest 2 lists. One is the missing items, insurance related. The second is additional things that DPW needs. For example, working with Jeff and Tony this year, just to give you a couple of examples, the rowboat for doing the rafts and so forth. Tony brings his own oars from home. Why don't we buy a pair of oars and keep them in the district?
yeah, we talked about that before, but we
Yeah.
never,
Right.
yeah.
Another example is for all the projects I worked with them on this year, Jeff and I were doing the work, most of the work on site, and Tony was running back and forth to DPW1 to get
Yeah.
tools. There's no toolbox in the trucks.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
another
we already
thing.
have that down.
Yeah,
Okay, now that's, I don't know if that falls into the missing items list or not, but you might have a missing
No.
equals insurance, and then additional items that are just gonna be huge efficiency improvements. And I don't know how the cash flow works on the missing items insurance part, but something needs to get into a warrant article, both parts, or maybe just the additional part. I don't know how that works cash flow wise, but 2 lists, 2 different reasons, insurance
I think
replacement.
we need to keep them separate.
I think they are separate right now,
Yeah.
actually.
Because
Right.
I've already given at least partial, some of the receipts to the boys to look at, and there were some false alarms that turned out to be like, no, that's not really a misappropriated item. So it's really mainly for insurance purposes.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's what I'm
Right.
suggesting, is 2 lists, is the insurance-related stuff, but then there's just work improvement, efficiency improvement.
Yeah, Nancy,
Yeah,
you were
which
putting together a
Nancy-
Yes,
warrant
we
to-
have that,
Cool.
listed out. Most of it will probably be able to come out of next year's budget.
Yeah.
And then if we do need a specific warrant article for some of them, we can, but I've got the little toolboxes
for
for
the trucks.
each of the trucks, so that they have someplace to put it when they finish using it, so that it's not a wrench at the
yeah.
back of
left
the
over
truck
here, and
that
this is
falls
it.
off, you know? They have some place to put it. They have a toolbox to put it, you know?
Yeah.
So little, and first aid
Yep,
stuff for each of, and which we had that for years. They've all been used and gone, and
yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
so we'll look at some of that stuff too.
That's great.
yeah.
I've been thinking of the 2-list approach, yeah, exactly. I think that would be a big improvement in efficiency.
Yeah.
All set?
Yep.
Motion to recess?
Second.
What
Till 1 o'clock
time
this
is it?
afternoon?
10:40?
10:39 I have.
10:30?
If you put 10:40,
How do you vote to recess?
we'd be okay.
Aye.
Aye.
3-0.
Okay.
Still 10:39.
All right, you want to sign stuff now, or
Yeah.
wait?
Uh-huh.
Okay.